Discord and then live on our other platforms. Hello, friends who are watching from various streaming devices. We are about ready to begin the Indie Game Lunch Hour. As always, before we actually start the formal recording, let me do a little bit of a tutorial. For those who are with us in the space, this is about a 45-minute live podcast recording. For the first 20 to 25 minutes, we'll be talking with our guest of honor, Yoan Rock, one-on-one or two-on-one, I suppose, in which we'll get his area of expertise as well as directly ask him questions. All of you, our wonderful audience, will be able to ask Yoan questions in the second half of the episode. So if you have questions for Yoan as we go, drop them in the Discord chat like this. And then mark them for me with a Q emoji. That is how it's just easier for me to pull it out that way so that I know that that's a question. And then also, if you like that question, you can hit that Q emoji again so that I can see that many people want that question answered. For the most part, we will go through those in chronological order, meaning the earlier you ask your questions of Yoan, the more likely you are to get a little bit of time getting that question answered. Yoan, you can ignore those questions unless we deliberately call them out. It's just us at first, and then we'll sort of dictate which questions we go through. Cool. I think that's it. I think we're ready to begin. Am I missing anything, Tim?
I think you've got it all, buddy.
All right. You're so good to me, Tim. I appreciate you. Can we get a round of gifs and or emojis in the chat for Tim? Tim appreciation emojis. Tim appreciation gifs, please. Tim is so good. All right. There we go. Yeah. Oh, that's you. Let's see. GIF appreciation.
All right. Heck yeah.
I wrote cuddly hug, and I got a bunch of weird sexy stuff. Yeah, I'll just send that. That's fine. All right, let's start. I'm going to get the bot recording, and then we're ready to begin. All right, Tim, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this thing. Where's my script? Kath, I know you enjoy cutting this part out. All right, here we go. Welcome, indie game developers, to the Indie Game Lunch Hour, the best dang indie game podcast on the planet.
Today we're being joined by Yoan Rock, an Unreal Engine UI programmer, to talk about building your personal knowledge database, learning how to learn.
Indie Game Lunch Hour.
In our live magical podcast, we give game developers the chance to hear real game dev stories from real game developers, as well as directly ask them questions in the second half of each episode.
This is a recording of a weekly event we host in the Indie Game Academy Discord on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, so feel free to swing by for the next one.
We're your hosts, Willem Delmenthal, headmaster here at IGA, and the Wizard of Games.
And I'm Tim Wood, founder of Right Finder Headhunting and the Knight of Games Recruitment. And joining us today is Yoan.
Hey guys.
Hi, Yoan, welcome. So happy to have you on the show. Always a good topic to talk about learning. Learning is its own skill. And of course, here at the Indie Game Academy, we care about it deeply. Yoan, before anything else, what are you having for lunch today, my friend?
I had chicken soup and pasta. Simple but effective.
Okay. All right. What kind of pasta?
I love it.
I don't remember. My wife did it. I just ate it really fast. That was amazing. That's what matters.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I've had I'm at that phase in the amount of shit in the fridge phase, like cycle, where there's very little shit in the fridge. So today I had my last 3 eggs plus some spinach for breakfast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice proteins. Nice.
Yeah. Not bad. Not super interesting, but not bad.
I had a Scotch egg and a latte. That's how I was rolling today. It was amazing. The egg yolk was runny, and then the sausage meat around it. Perfection.
Okay, let's start, before anything else, with one of the most toughest debates of all time. How runny should a yolk be?
Ooh.
A lot. It's never enough.
Yeah. I like a moderate viscosity to the yolk, you know, like the slow march of lava, you know, that kind of.
That's really precise.
Yeah.
Major Bacon says soft boiled for life. So that means like just a little bit of goo, but not runny. Is that what that means? I maximum run. I'm right with you, Tim. I want it all. I want to take a bite and it's like all over my face. I gotta like wipe it off. Later in the day, I find some stuck in my beard. Maximum runnage.
Okay, yeah, I like a slow runnage. Still there, but I like to keep my beard clean.
Beautiful. All right, well, this is not a euphemism at all. Let's move on. It's time for us to begin the actual podcast episode. Thank you, Yoan, for being here, and thank you for entertaining us about eggs.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me.
Very good to have you. As always, the first question that we like to ask to get your information out of you is for the origin story. So, Yoan, I would love to hear where you are in the gaming industry today and how you got there.
Yep. So I will start with my origin. So what happened in my life to get where I am. So I started playing Age of Empire 3. I don't know if you can see the little poster here of Age of Empire 4. I haven't played much Age of Empire 4, unfortunately. Not I don't have that much time. But yeah, I'm a lover of that series. And when I played that game when I was a young boy, a long time ago, I just loved playing that game, and I wanted to understand what was going on behind. The thing is, I'm someone like I get bored easily to things, so I was afraid to go to the video game industry and feel like, oh, you know what, it's not for me. So what I did, I at that point I was not that dumb, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna invest all of my time on being an engineer, becoming an engineer. So I went to an engineering school. And I learned C++ because I was like, you know what? If there is a language you need to learn, it's C++. Mm-hmm. It's used in custom engine, in Unreal, even Unity use C#, but apparently you can use C++, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn C++. I had an apprenticeship with Nokia for a year and a half or something. I worked on the 5G. I didn't like it at all. That wasn't my thing, but I knew that C++ was important, and yeah, they were amazing mentors at Nokia. They taught me everything about C++, clean code and everything. And so that's basically how I started as a C++ programmer. Then I got my first job in the industry. I got like 2 or 3 opportunities that led me to Unreal. I fell in love with Unreal. What Epic Games is doing is just incredible. I really love what they're doing with their free engine. And I've been basically doing C++ and Blueprint gameplay and UI programming for approximately 5 years. I started as an employee, then I pivoted to do freelancing because I wanted to be more independent. I wanted to do my own stuff, mentoring, create online courses. That is still not done, but that's a kind of work in progress thing. And I'm currently working for PlayerUnknown, that you might know, maybe that they made PUBG. I haven't worked on PUBG. Okay, I don't want credits for that, but I'm currently working on their licensed IP that is Prologue Go Way Back. That is a hardcore survival game. Where basically the enemy is the map itself, the weather, and you need to survive. And I've been working on gameplay and UI stuff, mostly the wetness system to make sure that items become wet and the character, and many other things. Yeah, really interesting. So that's it.
So cool. I want to jump in because I love there's like an age-old story that appeared in some gaming booklet ages ago that was specifically about Dead or Alive, and the reveal that there are real human beings whose entire job is to make realistic boob physics. And I love that, Yoan, your job is just to make stuff look wet. It's amazing.
Not look. Not even. The looking part is not me. It's not even that. The look part is more for the technical artist. Mm-hmm. Me, I just pass him functions that he calls, that he uses, and it works.
Wow.
But no, I really need to. I'm really working on the back end, I can say, for the people doing websites and everything. I'm working on the back end, making sure that the value constantly changes and makes sense when it rains. When you're walking outside, your shoes become wet. If you're covered by something above you, it needs to be taken into account. Many things. But it's really cool, actually. I really like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not mean to get a sexual with that as that sounded. I just meant that game developers' roles can get ridiculously specific sometimes. So it's very cool to run into somebody who's doing something that's so specific. As an indie dev, I do way too many things, and it sounds kind of nice to just make stuff good.
That's how it works when you work in a big, like, let's say kind of big company. Yeah, you most of the time work on a specific thing, everything, like you have like a specific task to work on. But when I've done also some work with indie on indie projects, and it's the opposite. Like you have all of the hats, you do everything. It's really different, but both are cool. Both are different and both are cool in their own way.
No, I like survival games, but I like them to be realistic. You know, I've done a little bit of outdoorsy stuff myself, and it's always a bit sad when I'm playing a survival game. There's rain, but like my firewood reacts exactly the same as it does on a dry day. You know, the smoke is the same and stuff, and I'm just like, no, I want my rations to get soggy and be like, oh no, I need to go do X, Y, Z. So yeah, I'll be checking out that game for sure.
It's really true.
No, that's cool. But no, you're right. It's really good. It's really important.
It's amazing how I say this in a lot of different episodes of ours. It's amazing how complicated video games can get and how quickly they can get complicated. I was just randomly looking at a YouTube video of somebody who's been working for like a couple of weeks on their. I'm an avid indie developer all the way through. So this is somebody working on their passion project, talking about how it's been weeks where they're trying to get their feet to place correctly on a ladder in a 3D game, and it's pretty easy to get lost in the sauce of making your world realistic.
No, but you know what's the worst thing is that we work on that, and the players, they don't even see the difference between if we would do it or not. Sometimes we do things, we spend weeks, and at the end they don't see nothing. But the first thing you do bad, they see it.
Yeah, if your
it's
feet
always like that.
Didn't place in the ladder perfectly, they'd be like, eh, and there'd be a video about it and a GIF about it, and they'd make memes about it. They'd cosplay your broken ladders. Yeah, game development.
No, but it's cool. It's the only place where you can have that. So in some way, we are really lucky to have that.
It's absolutely
really
true. Yes. Yeah. I make fun of my gamers, but I love them. Tim, do you want to take us into the topic of the day?
Absolutely. So we're obviously discussing, your personal knowledge database and learning how to learn. So I'd love to know kind of your own initial approach to this. So you started off at Nokia in the telecoms industry, transitioning into games. So how did you build your own kind of personal knowledge base in this time, when you're moving from one industry to a very different one?
That's the thing. I didn't at that point. I didn't do nothing regarding that because I didn't know. I was not aware that it was important. And each time I was having a problem as a junior programmer, I was just asking for help or trying to find a solution, fixing it, moving on. The problem with that is that you don't really learn because, of course, my brain is, let's say, kind of smart, but not that much. I cannot really remember things that well. I don't have a good memory. So each time I was getting the same error again, I had to either, because at that point, ChatGPT, whatever, didn't really exist. So I had to re-ask the senior developer, or I had to redo all of the work, all of the research. It was a mess. It was a mess. So that's why I try more and more to my mentees and the students I meet each time I do mentoring. I try to teach them that they should start making their own database. Why? Basically, stop wasting time. Stop wasting the time also of the senior developers that you each time you ask questions again and again and again. I mean, it's obvious, but time is money. So that's why it's really important to you need to respect your own time a lot, even though sometimes we don't do it personally, we do shit and stuff, and we should respect our time because it's like 1 hour when you start to work for really like, let's say as a senior, I'm not a senior yet, but you can see that a senior, when you waste 1 hour, it's like way more for the studio. So you need to be really careful with your time. And the idea is that, let's say, I'm gonna talk about Unreal because I know Unreal more, but you have like workspace issues. Like we all have workspace issues when we start installing the engine, trying to launch the editor, and you always have the same ducking errors all the time and again and again and again. So the good thing, you write them down. You take a screenshot. You copy paste the error as well, because when you want to search into your database, you want to easily find your error. because the worst thing you can do is also have a bad organization that you have everything but you cannot find it, and then you don't even use your own tool. So yeah, you can set up tags, you can set up categories, you do it your way, but the point is find the information that you need in good times. And I learned that thanks to my lead programmers during my career. Like 2 of them told me that that's what they were doing, and I was like, oh really? And yeah, then I started doing it, and I cannot live without it, because now each time I have a new error, I add it, and I think I have more the same errors than new errors. Like that's why it's always helping, and constantly it saves a lot of my time.
Yeah.
So let me just to make sure I understand this. You're creating a database of every problem that you run into and the solutions of how you fix those problems, like for yourself.
Yeah, let's say that, and you have multiple categories. Let's say that the first category, let's go through the categories. The first one would be the workspace issues, the one that we all hate. Like we just want to code, we just want to do programming, but first we need to set up everything properly. So first I would say that. The second one is the overall bug fixing. Unreal, sometimes you need to like enable a flag. You need to do a specific thing that if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So first you need to find this information, and then when you have it, you're like, oh, it was that easy. So you write it down somewhere, and then when you have the problem, yeah, you just find it again. So I would say this bug fixing. I try to document almost everything. So what I'm talking about right now is more about the programming side, but I also do it with my life now, to always have notes. Even as you people, you do a lot of content creation, so I guess you do it a lot as well. Because it's kind of sad when you have a new idea and you want to, you want to create a course, you want to create something, and you lose it forever because then you take a shower and you just forget, you move on. It's always important to type. So let's say you have an idea, because it's the kind of stereotype that we have programmers, is that when we work, we don't find good architecture, we don't know how to do the thing, but when we go to sleep, then we find everything. It's always when you go to bed, when you go to the toilet, when you go to do something else, that you find everything. So I always have I'm using Obsidian on my phone. It's synced up on my phone, on everything, tablet, computer, whatever. But you can use whatever you prefer. It's just my personal preference. And yeah, what's important is that it's synced, so that you go to your phone quickly, you write notes, and you can watch videos about it. I'm not even the best example on how to organize, but what I suggest is having a place where you put your new notes that you don't have time to order. Then you have a place where all of your notes are ordered, well written and everything. And you, time to time, once a week, you just spend 1 hour and you move them to the correct places. That's basically it.
I love it. Shout out to Obsidian. I'm a writer in my fun time, and all of my plotting, characters, continuity, it's all in my big kind of Obsidian mind map, and then everything else, I always
so satisfying.
Yeah. Personal notebook, work notebook, and then, I transpose between them when I need to. But so my next question was going to be, where do you build your database and obviously we know it's in Obsidian.
But for example, my lead programmers, they were using Google Docs. No shame on them. Like, they were using that and everything is fine. If you know how to find your information, that's good. It's the most important.
Yeah, and I'd love to be one of those people that can do a bullet journal, but alas, that has eluded me so far.
I cannot as well. No. I say I will do it. I want to do it, and then I start. I do it 1 week and I stop. So yeah, whatever. I gave up.
That's pretty.
Sorry, William, you go.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It brings to mind the concept of managing up, which is only part of what you're alluding to, but we brought it up on a previous episode, and it's something that I've tried to internalize myself, that I encourage others to internalize as well. You mentioned at some point that one of the negatives of somebody who's trying to solve problems, and perhaps is a little bit more junior as an engineer, is they're taking time away from the senior engineers. They need to go to the seniors to be like, what the hell happened to my Git, or whatever. And what you are referring to by making this resource, which first of all, pretty intense resource. I feel like I unlocked something when I started more deep note taking, but I've never quite built something like you're describing. It's very cool. But in addition, what you're naturally getting is a sort of management upwards, where you are deliberately minimizing the time that your seniors need to help you out, meaning that their lives are easier. And you're probably solving
Yeah.
problems that they may have needed to ask you to solve without them ever needing to ask about it or even learn about it as a result of building this resource. And what that does is it makes you more competent, it makes you more trustworthy, and that naturally rises you up the career ladder, which is
Yeah.
it's what we call managing upwards, is managing basically your boss. And that's just like phenomenal. That's good all around, good for the whole team, good for everybody.
You're on point. You're on point. Like basically that database becomes the lead programmer, if we can say that. That become the lead programmer. Like you build your own lead programmer and you go back to it and you don't have to bother a human, even though the humans most of the time they don't care because they want to help as well. There is always a balance, and that balance is hard to get as well. I remember being a junior, it was hard. When do I ask questions? When should I just say nothing? It's hard. It's tough.
So is it a case that you save absolutely everything, or do you have kind of your own sort of system for figuring out, hey, this is worth saving for humankind, and this thing can kind of be left by the wayside? Is there any kind of, I mean, does that even come up for you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, most of the thing I try to save them because I don't trust my brain anymore. So I just almost save everything. But no, like to be honest, there are things that I just do every day and I know them by like just by heart and I don't really save them because I'm a programmer, I'm lazy as well. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm still lazy. But no, there are things that are really important that I think that every developer should save on the side. Let's say, for example, something you need to invest time on once is learning all of the shortcuts of what you're using, because there are many programmers they use a tool every day but they don't know the shortcuts, and that's sad because they waste maybe I won't be too dramatic, let's say 20 minutes a day, and I think it's worse. But that's sad because those 20 minutes you would be focusing, instead of looking for the shortcut, or even worse, not using the shortcuts, you would be programming. And those 20 minutes after 1 year, maybe you would have finished your indie game project a long time ago. So that's the thing. So for example, everything related to shortcuts, that's something I encourage people to look for, learn them, write them on the side. Even more important than that, when you pay for content, premium content, Udemy, whatever you like to watch, take notes, put it on the side. That might be useful in some point. And even with Obsidian, what's good is that, yeah, I mean, you too, Obsidian, you can create link like in Wikipedia, you have links, you have your little brain. And so if one day you encounter a problem or you have a new idea or whatever, you go to that link and you can see everything that is related to that note. So that's the power. You can, let's say my manager, whatever, can ask me to work on a task, and then I can go back to my notes and then be like, wait, I had a course a year ago and it was related to that, and it can help. It can bring a lot of ideas. I've heard recently from someone on YouTube, I don't remember who, but that being smart is not really having a lot of knowledge in the brain, is connecting the dots. So Obsidian helps for that a lot, connecting the dots. I mean, you won't connect the dots for yourself, but it's gonna give you the information and you can connect the dots.
Can you actually, I would love, for the sake of those who are listening and for myself, can you give us an example of what one of these might look like? Like, what is a specific one maybe that you've written recently?
Give me 1 second. I will check. But one example I can give, I won't be able to show it, but what I can tell you, I was, for example, building a course. It's work in progress, but the idea behind it is to list all of the workspace issues you might have with Unreal, for example.
Okay.
So basically in my notes, I'm just listing all of the workspace issues with, as I said, screenshot, plus the error as text to be able to find it easily. And yeah, to not waste time, so that basically my future course will have all of that, and the people will just, it's like I'm gonna share with them that part of the database, and the goal is that they go to that place, they look for the error, and they might have it. I mean, I won't have 100% of the errors because there are some that I haven't encountered. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, that's why that I had an idea, and at the end it's working really well. I thought that it was sad that each person, each lead programmer, mid programmer, whatever, they all have their own personal database. But why we are not sharing our databases? That would be cool, right? Because we would save time. Everybody is winning at the end. because we would all receive from others, give to others. And so I had the idea to create a community, Unreal Buddies, where it's a closed community where we are 100 right now. I guess we will stay like that for now. But basically, we are 100 Unreal programmers, and yeah, we share our. It's like we share our database. We share all of our tips, all the things you can share that you would share to yourself for later. We share it to everybody, and that's really good because it's even more data. So that's something I would encourage people to do. Create your own community, try to join communities, and the idea is get as much data that you can to not rely on AI, and be able to just thrive as a developer and stop wasting time on errors and just build things, I would say.
It's really interesting. This is a practice that I feel like is a combination of a couple of different things that are perhaps more common. So one is it sounds almost in some ways like a ticketing solution, something like a Jira or an Asana or a Trello, all of the different options that we have these days, where it's a place for us to go to figure out what we have to do. Ticketing is more specifically about figuring out tasks, but we wind up multi-purpose ticketing with actual tech problems. So we'll have screenshots, we'll have repro steps, we'll point out a bug on there, we'll say this is how we fix it. It sounds like it has some aspects of that. It sounds like it has some aspects of basically like onboarding materials, like a Confluence, where you are saying, hey, here's how we set up Unreal for this team. Only yours is focusing more on, the specific problems that you run into.
It's more generic. It's more generic. And instead of having it per studio, per project, you have your own onboarding for yourself and you write it with your own words. So you go to, because I needed it as a freelancer even more, because when you are an employee and you work on a project for 3 years, you don't really need it anymore. But when you constantly work on new projects each 3 months, then you start to need to have processes, workflows. And I'm not perfect. There are still a lot of places that I'm not automatizing and everything, but I try more and more to save time.
It's interesting. The third thing I was going to throw in there is basically a team wiki or a game wiki, which I've also seen, where people will build a wiki for their team or for their game, similar to a Confluence, where you are solving problems and putting the solutions to those problems in one location. You just answered it for the most part for yourself, but I was going to ask, what is the difference and how is this a different practice from those potential solutions? And what I'm hearing is that this is for you. Does that mean that this is conglomerated knowledge? So there's many games worth of knowledge in this same location. And then a big question I'm wondering about here is like, how freely do you share this? Is this something that any company you join, you're giving them access to? Is it something that you'll kind of share freely with a team member if they need it? How public facing, I guess, is this resource?
This honestly depends on each person. For now, my personal database is still kind of a mess, and I still find my information, but I wouldn't ask anybody to look into that. That's kind of cursed, so no. But for example, my tech, my lead programmer that in my current project is sharing it with the whole team. He has a personal database where he's writing down all of his issues and he shares it with everybody. And sometimes, time to time, we go check if like the issue that we are encountering is there. But it depends from person to person. And I answered to everything, or I forgot something?
Yeah, I think for the most part you did. Yeah, it sounds like something I started doing during college, or just a belief that I adopted at some point, is that taking notes is valuable even if you never look back at them, because it is committing those things to memory. Secondarily, you're both intaking the information and then you are also outputting the information, even if it's just into a notebook that never gets read again. So it's two uses of that information, and therefore you're more likely to remember it. So it strikes me as that, but searchable, and so therefore you may well go back and check it out.
I was about to talk about that point, so thank you. Basically, what I've learned that in the past, once in one YouTube video as well, there are so many content on internet, it's hard for me to remember. But basically, it's like when you listen to a course and you don't write nothing down, you will remember like 5-10% of it. If you write down notes in your own words without using AI, because otherwise it doesn't change nothing. With your own words, you can get 30%. If then you answer a quiz, 50-60%.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you do exercise, it's like 65-70 is like the more optimized. So that's why nowadays, when you take notes plus quiz plus you do an exercise, that's when you will get most of the information and you will actually improve for real. Because that's also one of the points I wanted to mention in this podcast. It was about the tutorial hell phenomena. And yeah, that's something striking many people. It struck me in the past. It was horrible. That's basically watching tutorials for hours, and then after that, you feel like you learn nothing. That building your database and taking notes solve that problem partially, because of course it's also the kind of content that you watch. If the content that you watch is like build the game in 5 hours, it might not teach you that much because the guy is just gonna show you how to make a general game in his way. The best content I've found so far is really the one that you cannot find most of the time. They are teaching you the tools. They are teaching you like how work an interface, how work a component, how do you build like a scalable class that you will use in the long term in the project. Even though in the gaming industry, you know that the game designer, they come with crazy ideas from nowhere, and you were working on something and then everything changed. So everything needs to be scalable, robust. This we don't teach that to people most of the time, or we teach it too late. I feel that's also something I'm trying to raise awareness around. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see such so many extra possibilities that you can use with this database. I mean, my day trade is a recruiter, right? So I'm like, well, this could be an amazing addendum to someone's portfolio, but also just a great resource. You know, if someone has their own database, they can use it for their own kind of interview prep. Because one of the most common things that I'm looking for in portfolios or in interviews is what kind of problems have you dealt with and how have you come to a solution for those. I guess, you know, are you putting your own kind of version of reflectives into these databases or written overviews? And also, how do you manage I guess the NDA component? Because there'll be some issues where you probably have to talk around what you're doing because you're working on a specific feature that might be, you know, under lock and key. So I guess, what are your general thoughts there?
On that part, I would say the best thing you can do is always make sure to communicate with the studio you're working with to make sure that they are right. Most of the time it's fine, since like I think that Obsidian, they are encrypting everything, so you're good. But the best thing you can do is always double checking with your lead. Asking for a written permission is the best. And yeah, that's the best. Even, yeah, as you said, during the interviews, you cannot talk about everything. So the thing I try to do to bypass that is I recently, like I was talking about it with my lead, I made a diagram about the wetness system in the project, but I couldn't be too specific, so it was really generic. It was just like a diagrams that was showing the overall classes, the dependencies, but without too much details. Because that's the thing, like if you don't show enough details, they will think that, yeah, you're a liar, or that you haven't really worked on it. And if you give too much details, then you're getting problem with your company. That's not the point.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that fine balance, isn't it, of how much can I share without, you know, an army of lawyers suddenly turning up.
Exactly. And as developers, we don't have money for that, so most of the time we try to not create problems. But something else come to my mind. That's why I think most of the people, since we work under NDAs, what I suggest is always build your own game. Always work on your indie game, personal indie game, because that one, it's yours. You can do whatever you want. If you want to share things about it, you can. So I'm currently building my own indie game, and that's also something helping me a lot, because I can build the things in my way and I can share them freely during the interviews. I can even share the screen and show what I'm building without problems. So I would encourage people, even though you don't want to create games, even though you don't put it on Steam, do it just for the sake of you being able to share it during interviews. That's really, and that shows that you want to learn, it shows many good traits that you know more than me, like things that the recruiter wants to see. It's just bonus. It's really good.
Yeah, I would 100% echo that. I was working for a large AAA studio last year who are releasing a major RPG that it's all public now. but a very exciting one. But one of the writers I hired for that project was hired based on the strength of their own personal project that they'd taken to market. And that was a direct reason for why they were brought into this very large, expansive RPG. So for anyone listening, I'm a recruiter. I work for lots of game studios. You heard it from Yoan as well. Like, do your own projects if you can, make your own games, and see how far you can push it, because you can only get benefit from that kind of experience.
Yeah, that one's undeniably. Yeah, that one's undeniably
So sorry,
true.
go on.
Yeah, for sure. It's undeniably true for that you should be documenting everything that you're working on, and you can make such a stronger portfolio if you are not just showing the game that you worked on, but you're also showing some of the process, the problems that you ran into, how you solved them, and then what the solution was. As both of you are pointing out, make sure you are not violating NDAs. But ultimately, you are a stronger candidate if you can show how you handled something rather than just what the end product winds up looking like. So this also seems like a great way to have that on hand. Maybe they'll ask you for an example of a time that you used blueprints or whatever, and you'll be like, oh, I have that entry where I can go and look up what I did there. I want to play devil's advocate for a second, though. So every project I've ever worked on has had at least a moment where we spend too long on more or less project management. So I feel like this happens with Jira all the time, or with any ticketing software, where we wind up getting super granular. We're like, yeah, here's the 27 different things that we have to do. And then people don't use it, or they get burdened with a bunch of extra work where they have to extra ticket track. And the project manager winds up not really needing that information or whatever. We wind up just spending too long in process and not enough time on production. So
it's a problem as well.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that, like balancing. This sounds great. It sounds valuable in a lot of different ways. We've highlighted a lot of the different values, but it also sounds like a lot of process. So tell me how to balance this as a useful tool, a way to personally skill build and learn, but without adding too much of that overhead.
What I would say, yeah, because it's the same. Like during my whole career, I had this problem with all of the studios, even like the best studios, the less good studios, all of them, they had the same problem. And it's time, let's say, time heals, time allows to be able to reflect and understand what's the balance. What worked with me is I don't spend time formatting or stuff like that on the moment. I just open, I go to the folder where I have all of my notes not treated. I write down really quick, copy paste, or I do it really fast and I move on. And then each week you try to spend 1 hour. And yeah, like I would say that. And also something else with specific to Obsidian is don't spend too much time creating folders, because anyway, most of the time you're not gonna remember all of the folders where you need to go to find this information. You're gonna do it through the search feature and through tags. So just on the moment, spend a few seconds adding tags, add categories, and that's what's gonna lead you to the information. But you don't need all the time to create subfolders, subfolders. That's not really needed, because that's also what's taking time is sorting information. That's a nightmare. I wanted to say something also about when we work on our indie projects or whatever to help highlighting ourselves. I wanted to give a little tip to the audience. Something really good when you're learning programming specifically is don't try to build a whole game. Start building systems, build inventory systems, build a quest system, build a combat system, but don't try to build everything at once, because you're just gonna fail. You're gonna do a lot of everything bad. I would say start with something simple and do it well. And yeah, try to instead of trying to see how to do your system, think about best practice, think about long term, reflect a little bit.
Question of the day.
Amazing. I think perhaps that sound effect just indicated that it is the time for the question of the day. We're going to move into some of the audience questions. We have a couple of lined up, and I may or may not have hit enter on that sound effect early.
It scared me a little bit.
My heart is just like...
It came from nowhere.
my bad. All right. So really, though, that actually is it's a really fascinating practice. So I think, as you suggest, it is a it is always balance, and I think any process that you incorporate into your life is going to be a balance. And there's going to be something that can be painful is going like, oh man, I got this new thing that's going to solve all my problems, and then it totally doesn't, and that's okay. That's kind of the normal flow. So let's talk though a second about the question of the day. I think you have something prepared for us. Is that right, Yoan?
I do. Yeah, I do. So the question of the day is, what is a process you do over and over again that you have never stopped to document or improve?
What is a process you do over and over again, but you have never stopped to document or improve?
Like you never stopped reflecting on it and be like, how can I improve it? What can I do better? Yeah.
All right. Great. So if you are in the audience, this is something we would love you to answer right now.
Good luck.
Yes. To encourage a little discussion. What is a process that you do every day or very often, but that you rarely improve or document? Tell us in the chat. We're watching all of the various chats. Tim, you got any of these for us?
Oh, I'm just trying to choose between them all. Probably just like CV and portfolio screening. Because it's not really a task where I've got a written workflow. It's more me, benchmarking information against job descriptions and briefings that I've taken from clients. So I could probably think on ways to maybe standardize that. The key kind of difficulty is that sometimes portfolios lead me to other jump off points to find out more about that particular person's online digital job footprint. And then sometimes I only have a CV to work with. So yeah, there's definitely fundamentals that I could tweak and look at and potentially take further. Willem, I'm sure you've got one or two knocking around.
Yeah,
from the coloring of your face right now.
It immediately makes me think. So one of my main so I have a day job right now at a professional modding company, Mod Collective. Y'all check it out. They make very cool stuff for third-party games. We make cool stuff. And one of the things that I do a lot for them is micro design docs. So full extensive GDDs wind up being a little bit too much for these very small actual products. And so I make something more like design one-pagers, and I will constantly go back to old docs and like copy and paste pieces of the old doc and then paste them into the new document and then fill it out. And it occurs to me that I could probably make myself some cool automated system to just poop out an empty design doc template and make my life easier. And I never have. So I'm perfect. And all of you are wrong.
Some things from the audience, repository setup and file management, and how personal Notion databases are set up as well.
Ooh.
That's perfect examples. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually the thing that we should all automatize, and we don't do it. Yeah. Yeah. Classic.
Amazing.
It's good to have these things written down. As far as I'm concerned, if it's not written down, it didn't happen.
Yeah. And now that you have written it down, none of you can back out. We know your weaknesses. Yeah. All right, we have a couple of audience questions that we're gonna answer with you before we say goodbye. First one here is from Christy. Christy says, referring to your self-document creation, Christy says, I wonder if this document can be scaled to work across departments, like a resource to see why some pieces of the game aren't fitting together properly on a higher level. What do you have to say about that?
Sorry, can you repeat? It's about like making games in general.
Yeah, this is about game development in general. So Christy says, I wonder if this document could be scaled to work cross-departmentally. So this thing that you're creating for yourself to answer some of those problems that you've run into, is it something that you could feasibly see sharing amongst your team and having it be a valuable cross-department tool?
I guess it depends the context of the database, but you could have your personal database, then you can maybe set up another one that you share with your team, with your indie project. Honestly, I haven't even thought about it, but that's a good idea. Yeah, I think that you should do that if you're a team and you like each other. I hope. Yeah, you should do that. And even like, let's say most of the time we have readme projects with onboarding processes and everything. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the thing. If you can have more than that, it's even better. Like all of the issues that you encounter, you just add them there, and when somebody else new join the project, you just have access to everything. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it strikes me something that we started doing at the Indie Game Academy that made a big difference was just documenting SOPs, which y'all will hear that jargon. It just means standard operating procedure. Basically, it's a bullet point list of how you do something. So how you set up a new class, how you find a new teacher, that kind of whatever it is in your organization. And this strikes me as something akin to just documenting your SOPs. It does strike me, though, that something like this, it also sounds like it's far more valuable for you, and probably it's a bit chicken scratchy and a bit jargony, and it isn't meant for other people to read. It's meant for you to be able to refer back to. And the extra work of making it valuable for others to read is probably a lot more of that process we were talking about earlier. So there's probably benefits and negatives to making it cross-departmental.
Yeah, most of the time it's an investment, but yeah, don't spend too much time as well. You need to build things, not just invest in the future. You need to get money to pay for the rent. So yeah, don't forget that.
Step one. Tim, you got any other questions for us?
Yeah, one question in the chat. It says it's a simple question, but I think sometimes they're the best. But what is a workspace issue, and maybe could you give us an example of one or two?
I mean, workspace issue. There are a lot of them in Unreal. Is like you have many, all of the type of issues that when you're installing the project, when you're installing Unreal, the project you want to work on or whatever, and you start, you press play or build or whatever, and it doesn't work. So that's a workspace issue, and you can have like, for example, the file can't be read because you need to right click and because it's locked or whatever by Windows. All of those type of issues that you can waste 1 hour when you just have to do right click on something on Windows and it works. Or sometimes it's on Rider or Visual Studio, whatever. Most of the time it's quick fixes that you need to know, and if you don't know it, yeah, you are just screwed up and you ask the lead. Yeah.
That's great. And I think this is also something to be very clear. So you're an engineer here, but I assume that you feel this is something that could be useful to anybody who's learning anything. Is that true?
Definitely. Yeah, I like to talk about my niche because that's what I know, but we could adapt this to anything. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So as I become more and more advanced at painting Warhammer 40K models, I'm going to be building a database of masterful Warhammer 40K problem-solving techniques. And yeah, I can't wait. I'll share that with you when it's ready. Because I know.
And actually, that's interesting that you say that, because most of the people they all think that they don't have nothing valuable to share. But when you start doing that, you start being like, wait, maybe I might be able to create a devlog, and that also helps when you're being hired. So you can start creating your devlogs. You can start being like even creating courses or creating YouTube videos, and it helps because when you have nothing, you're like, I have nothing to share. But you have a lot of things to share. It's just that you don't document it.
That's great. Yeah. I actually really love that as a point. Something that we do at IGA is community lectures, where we invite members of the community to teach either workshops or just lecture series inside of the community. And some of them are very applicable. It's like, here's how you use Blender to make blah, 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 or, something about code documentation or whatever. But a lot of them are just like, here's how you knit. And those have been some of our most popular series, actually. So I really deeply believe that all of us have something to teach. And you were talking about that hierarchy earlier, by the way, of how you learn. If you just read the information, you learn, 5%, 10%. If you take notes, you learn a little bit more. The top of that pyramid is teaching. When you teach, you learn about 90% or more of the information that you're teaching. So yeah, spend a little time.
If you're serious about it, yes. If you're really trying to explain the best way possible with like all of the information from all of the videos, and you really try to get the best info, then yeah, you become really good at what you're learning and what you're teaching then, and that's why you become a valuable teacher at the end. Everybody could be. We just need to practice. Yeah,
I fully agree. It's also in my own personal vendetta is to get everybody in this room self-employed, and so this only helps move you towards self-employment as well. So y'all take some great notes, make yourself a little wiki, learn from that.
No,
exactly.
This has been great. And before we wrap up for the day, Yoan, I've really enjoyed talking to you today, and I'm now desperate to open up my Obsidian and make it cleaner. But do you have any extra credit that our listeners can do in the next week or so to apply what they've done here today?
I prepared some homework for people. So if you're interested in doing it, it would be to reflect a little bit on yourself. If you already have a database, good. Otherwise, it's fine. But it would be like, think about a one in-demand skill in your field that would increase your value and help you land more jobs. I think that's something that we don't do enough. We just focus on what we know, and we should focus on what we don't know and what could be valuable. And also something I prefer to tell people is learn things that you like, learn things that you're passionate about. Don't try to learn something just to learn it for the sake of having a job. The job will feel it. I'm sure, Tim, you feel when someone is fake and not authentic. You need to feel that the person is interested and really like what they are doing. It's even better, because when you feel the person not liking what they are doing and just doing it for the money, most of the time it doesn't work, I feel.
Excellent. No, I think that's a really good takeaway. So everyone who wants to, why not give that a go over the next week or so? Tell us about your experience with it, whether it's in Discord or if you feel comfortable tagging us in LinkedIn, we can check it out and cheer you on from the sidelines as well.
Beautiful. All right. I think it is time for us to start wrapping up. But before we actually go, Yoan, is there anything that you would like to promote or any last words of wisdom you'd like to give us on your way out the door?
I mean, promote. Everything is work in progress. I'm creating content at the moment. So if you're interested in learning more about engineering, good practices, about Unreal, C++, feel free to add me on LinkedIn or follow what I'm doing. Hopefully, soon I'm gonna have courses online to help people learn about several topics like testability, debugability, scalability, robustness, all of those kind of things that I feel we don't teach enough. As I said, learning the tools, not how to make a game, but learning a tool to be able to fix your problems and move forward. And yeah, don't forget that don't use AI too much. Use it in your advantage, but AI won't replace you if you really use your brain and connect the dots, because AI cannot really do it for you. So always remember that invest in yourself, learn new things. Don't lose your motivation. I know that the industry, it's tough times, but we are gonna get there sometime. Yeah, it's gonna be better. So yeah, don't stop. Keep learning new things, and yeah, I hope you had a good time with us today.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having lunch with us today, Yoan. And thank you to those who asked your own questions. And of course, everyone for listening.
Beautiful. If you enjoyed it, there is always a link to join us down in the description below. Come and join us here on our Discord, and anything that we mentioned today, including Yoan's links or anything else, will also be linked down there in the description. I am going to self-promote for just about 10 seconds. IGA has been deep in the weeds on redesigning what we do at the Indie Game Academy, and we're going to be revealing that on February 5th. So I've just posted a link in the chat, and if you're listening after the fact, you can find that link down below as well. So come and join us. We have a reveal event. We're going to tell you exactly what's going on. Otherwise, I think that wraps us up for the episode, Tim.
It does indeed. So catch us next week at 12 p.m. EST. There are instructions how to join our Discord in the description as well.
It has been a pleasure as always. We love all of you, and please keep it up during these crazy times. We'll see you again next week, Game Dev Adventurers.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Farewell.
All right, and those who are watching this stream, this is the part where you get a little extra for not being on Discord, because, well, I have to click end on Discord and then I have to click end on the stream. So there's inevitably this little lag moment. Bye. Love all of you. Take care. Have a great day.